Today, on episode 3 of 5 Minute Friday, we're going over 4 of the most common exercises that might be putting you at risk for injury. Let's get after it. Hey guys, I'm Mark here from EverStrong Therapy, physical therapy and fitness designed to keep you moving at your best. Today we are going over some common exercise mistakes that you might be making and some alternatives in terms of how to fix it and make them better. Today, as always, I am joined by the amazing, the talented Jeff Dubuisson, and we are at the Crunch Gym in Roslindale as we go over these moves. So the first exercise we're going to talk about is actually something I see people do as a warm-up for their shoulder. And what they do is they take a light plate and they start doing this move, back and forth. And I understand what they're trying to do. Unfortunately, it's not effective. The goal of this exercise is to warm up the rotator cuff before a shoulder workout. However, when you're doing a move like this, the gravity is pushing the plate down, and so that's the direction the resistance is going. And while you might be moving your shoulder in external rotation, you're doing nothing to warm up the rotator cuff. Instead, you want the resistance to come from the opposite end. So you want the resistance to come from this direction. So what I recommend is either move your body into side lying so that gravity is providing appropriate resistance in order to move into external rotation, or my favorite is to use a band. So Jeff, let's grab a band and I'm gonna provide the resistance. The resistance is coming from the opposite end of the motion he's trying to perform. Now, if you were to do this, and keep this elbow nice and tight too, Jeff. Now if you do this move, you'll see, and he can feel his rotator cuff really warming up and providing appropriate resistance so that when he does his shoulder workout, the muscle and the joint are all warmed up and ready for action. So the second exercise I see not necessarily doing the best is the shoulder high pull. Now again, the move that I see is common. Get up in the air, just like that, back and forth, up and down, in order to build their shoulders. You can drop the weight before you hurt yourself. The reason, not that you would hurt yourself, but the reason I don't like this move is because it forces your shoulder into internal rotation, closing the joint space and really putting strain on the rotator cuff itself, which will probably lead to injury in the future. I understand the point. You're trying to build anterior delta and you're trying to build your shoulder. However, there are much safer and more effective ways to do that. Namely, I like to do scaption raises. It's in between straight flexion and abduction. So you're putting the arm at 45 degrees as you raise your shoulder up and you bring it slowly back down. So Jeff, what I'm gonna have you do is you're gonna go right at that angle there and come right on back down, keeping your posture. So the reason I like this is, one, Jeff has a neutral grip when he does it, keeping the joint space open. At the same time, he's really targeting that anterior delt in order to build the muscle that he needs or that he wants to build. How's this feel, Jeff?
Excellent.
So try not to use momentum when you do it. Nice and slow. Good. A little harder that way. Mm-hmm. So the third exercise we're going to go over that you could be doing differently and safer is the oblique side bend. Again, I see people doing this all the time in order to target their obliques. They load up one arm and they start doing this. The problem with this move is your lumbar spine is not made to bend that way. And eventually this is going to cause a problem in your back. So Jeff, we're going to talk about an alternative to this. And in order to do that, we got to move to the floor. So the alternative that I like instead of the oblique side bend is actually to come to the floor and either get in a plank or a bear crawl position. From there, we're gonna take a light kettlebell. I'm gonna bring it right to the underside of his wrist. He's gonna reach for that kettlebell with that hand and bring it right over here. And then back and forth he goes. This allows for full rotation, full activation of his obliques, and it maintains the stability of his lumbar spine throughout. Again, all these moves have to be done with correct posture throughout. If that is difficult, he's gonna get into a nice bear crawl position and do the same exact move. How's it feeling?
Working those obliques, let's get them.
The last exercise we're going to talk about is doing back squats on a Smith machine. Now there's a whole host of reasons why this exercise is not the best for you. Number one of which is that in order to back squat correctly, the bar path is not a straight line, which the Smith machine forces you to do. The Smith machine forces the bar path in a straight line, and when you're back squatting, the weight has to come back in order for you to complete the move effectively. Alternatives to doing a back squat on the Smith machine involve either going to a normal rack and doing proper back squats without the assistance of a Smith machine, or if a Smith machine is all that's available to you, is doing front squats so the bar path can follow that straight line as it's meant to on a front squat versus a back squat. So there you guys have it, 4 common exercises that people tend to make mistakes over and alternatives in order to perform the same exact move but a little more efficiently and with better results. As always, follow along, subscribe. Jeff?
Stay strong. Happy lifting.
Stay ever strong. Thanks a lot.